episode of Virtual Coffee. My name is Alexa Collier, and on this podcast, I usually chat with small business owners and early career professionals. We discuss their stories, their backgrounds, their perspectives, their pieces of advice for others, and it's a really fun time. But today is going to be a solo episode with just me. I do these every once in a while just to share my thoughts and what's been on my mind. Before we get into my thoughts, I'd really appreciate if you could rate and review Virtual Coffee on the Apple Podcasts app. Really helps us out, really helps others discover us who might otherwise not know we exist out there. It helps us help others too. So would really appreciate if you could do that. Only takes a couple of seconds. And you can also follow us on social medias, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, almost all the social medias. It's all at Virtual Coffee Podcast. As always, thank you so much for your support and happy listening. I hope you enjoy me rambling about what's been on my mind. So I think what I wanted to talk about today is around finding your why and kind of finding that purpose in life, what you want to do, not even just from a professional perspective, but from a personal life perspective as well. And I think it's taken me about 2.5 years now since I started my full-time job in the corporate world to realize how important it is to own what you want to do and own the direction of your life and your career. So I think when we, at least my path, I graduated from college in 3.5 years and then immediately started my full-time job in corporate America. And I think when we first start out, if you did go to college or even after high school or any type of schooling, you're so used to specific deadlines, specific agendas, syllabus, right? It's pretty much all laid out for you. And you just have to hit deliverables and perform well to get good grades so that you can graduate and get the credit and get your degree. And in the professional world, how it tends to work is not that. Sure, you have deliverables and projects that you need to accomplish, but no one really tells you exactly what you need to do. I mean, I know there's jobs out there that do that, but at least from my experience, it's not check these 5 things off and you will get a promotion, or check these 10 things off and you will get a raise. And that's how I really thought it was for the first 2 years. I was actually pretty disappointed last year, at the beginning of this year, when I didn't get a promotion, because in my head I was thinking, oh, but I stayed after work. I worked so long. I did so much. I took on so many projects. And the reality was I wasn't ready for a promotion. I wasn't there yet. I still had a lot to learn, a lot to master of our craft, and a lot to refine and evolve. And not that it didn't matter that I stayed those extra hours, but it just made me realize that I can accomplish what I want and fulfill my why in a way that satisfies me both professionally and personally. So it just made me really realize that for me, working 12 plus hours every single day doesn't help me. That doesn't make me happy, because I still want to come home, have dinner with my husband, walk my dogs, watch TV. I need that time at home. I need that time to not be working, to go work out, etc. And for others, working those long, long days every single day, that fulfills their why. That helps them. They want to do that. They want to be able to take on that extra project. And that's what I really struggle with personally, is I do want to take on that extra project because I am competitive naturally. And I want to say yes to everything, but I need to recognize that my path and my why is different from others, and how I'm going to get there is different from others. And if only working 9 hours, a day on average doesn't get me a promotion, then okay. I would rather that for me personally. So that was a big learning, and that's been on my mind for the majority of this year so far. Just realizing that I can own my schedule, I can own my hours, and I know what I want to get out of work. And that was another huge learning, is just really finding my why I get out of bed in the morning. And for me, it's really about helping others, designing and creating experiences that are valuable to others, whether that's an internship program, a product, process. I don't know. It's just all about creating that experience for the end user. And that's what drives me. I do that through my role at work, and I do that through mentoring. And as long as I feel I'm making a difference and creating an experience, then I'm fulfilled. So it's really allowed me, especially this year, to know what to say yes to and know what to say no to, or to pass up, or to give someone else the opportunity, is how I look at it. If I'm taking up all the opportunities, one, I'm burnt out and at capacity and not doing truly what I want to do. And two, someone else doesn't get that opportunity. So that's how I try to view it. And I think that takes a while, understanding exactly what you want out of work and what things to say yes to, what things to say no to when you have the option. Of course, there's some things you just have to do. It's just part of your role, and that's okay. But that takes a while to learn. And I think that comes in a cyclical nature. Like, it's taking me, like I said, 2.5 years to really understand that. And now I think I'm going to ride out the rest of the year kind of on that high of knowing what I want to do, being really confident in my projects, in the work I select, in the work I accomplish. And then I kind of have a feeling the next, maybe into 2022, I'll still be fine. And then I think I'm going to get to a point where I'm like, okay, but what's next? What's the next new challenge? I think I might get too comfortable in that why and want to evolve it, change it, be challenged, find that next challenge. So I'll report back in a few years if that assumption is correct. But that's what I think is going to happen. And I'm curious if any of you feel that way. Let me know, message me, write a review and leave your thoughts. But I'm curious if anyone else has felt that way. I think people have, based on the conversations I've had on this podcast with others, of it just takes a while to find that why, and then you find it and you ride it for a while, and then you want the next thing. So we'll see. Some tips on finding your why, if you haven't done so already or are still a little confused on what I even mean by that. I think it's important to look at, if you just reflect on your past year, what moments made you happy? What moments made you feel accomplished? Was it a specific moment in time, event, project, accomplishment? And write those down and see if you can find a theme. Maybe for me, for example, whenever I can mentor young students or create an internship experience, things like that really drives me. Those are highlights from my year. Whereas other things, perhaps more technical things or down in the weeds things of like an IT process, or I don't know, making stuff up. But that type of stuff doesn't really stand out in my mind. That kind of stands out as, just had to get through that project. And that has helped me and led me to understand that I love designing experiences. So reflect on that over, your past year or 6 months. Just pick a time frame and see what stands out to you and see if you can theme it. And then from there, start saying yes to more of those opportunities that fulfill that why. And if you continue to head down the right path and you're loving your work and you're feeling fulfilled, then that's it. And if you're not, then maybe your why needs to be evolved. Say yes to some different things, or right, you kind of have to find the path that works best for you. And that path is going to change all the time. That's the thing. You're never going to be on one single path. You're going to take different routes. And that's, I think, what is supposed to happen. Because otherwise you're on one path and that's going to get boring. It's going to be the same path. And that won't be fun after a while. So we'll see what my next path is. But right now I'm feeling good about it. So that was a bit on finding your why. Another thing that's kind of been on my mind this year is just gaining confidence in who I am and my skill sets, my abilities, where I want to go. I just feel like I finally understand the basics of my job and kind of have mastered those basics. And now it's, okay, what do I want to refine? Where do I want to make an impact? And just kind of finding out those details. And it feels really good. And I think it's just important for others to hear who are perhaps just starting a new job or starting a job for the first time. it takes a while to get out of the mindset of check these boxes and that leads to success, and just to understand that you control your life and you get out of life what you want to. And it really is up to you. And that sounds so philosophical, but it truly is up to you and no one else. You can do it. You can get what you want out of it and you can find it. Yeah, it's just what's been on my mind lately. Another thing I think is important to mention is, along with finding your why, it's also very important to understand how you define success. You as a person. What does success mean to you? What makes you happy? What makes you feel accomplished? You define that for yourself. Sure, your job might have qualifications for the next promotion, the next goal, the next milestone, and that's helpful. That's good to know. But ultimately, you define success. And if your number one priority is reaching that next milestone in the shortest amount of time, then you have to know that comes with putting the time in, right? Putting the energy in. And it's okay to take your time and want other things out of life than just hustling all day, every day, 24/7. You can still get there. It might take you a little bit longer, or it might not. I think that's just what drives me crazy about kind of the typical corporate world, is there's this such belief that you need to work X amount of hours, as much as you can, work, and that's what success means. And it's just not true. At least from my perspective, it's just not true. I am so much happier this year when I am able to walk into work, get my work done successfully, feel accomplished, know my priorities, and then leave at the end of the day. And not be at my computer till 7, 8 p.m. and leave at 4 or 5 p.m. and go home and not think about work until the next day. Like, I am so happy with that. And there's just such pressures from society to be at your desk, be at your computer, answer that ping that comes in at 10 p.m. right away. And sure, I understand sometimes there are emergencies, sometimes there are deliverables, and you just gotta put in the hours. That's fine. I totally understand that. But that doesn't have to be an everyday thing if you don't want it to be. And yes, understanding that someone who does put in 15 hours a day, they can get more things done than someone who only puts in 8, 9 hours a day. That is true. But it doesn't mean that your quality of work is different. That, to me, is such a difference. And I think just being able to focus on the outcomes and not the outputs. So not the numbers that you delivered, the amount of things that you delivered, but the outcomes, the impact, the value you provided someone. I think that is just so much more important than the hours and the time and the quantity. Quality over quantity. And just think about it. If you're struggling with that, just sit with that and try to figure out what you want out of life, what you want out of your job, and see if you can make a little bit of changes, gain that confidence to just own your life. I know this was a bit of a ramble, but I do enjoy doing these shorter, quick episodes every once in a while just to share what's been on my mind. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Let me know your thoughts. Message me. Like I said, put your comments in a review, whatever works for you. I would love to hear what you think, and if you found your why, or if you're still on that path, or how your why has changed over the years. I'd love to hear everything about that. But as always, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of your morning, evening, night, afternoon, whenever you're listening to this. But thank you so much for listening to me ramble for about 15 minutes. I appreciate it. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.